you were saying that monogamy is not the natural order of things for humans.
Yes. So I was talking about just like genetically and kind of why we're facing a lot of the issues that we're facing nowadays may be rooted to how we originally evolved, like started evolving. Did you want me to like go over the whole like scientific theory or no?
I mean, I heard most of it, but I mean, it may certainly be the case that we are less monogamous now and that we might have a proclivity towards polygamy.
Yeah.
However, we also have a proclivity towards violence and thieving and stealing. So society reinforces behavior that is more conducive to a positive social structure. And the fact of the matter is, polygamy is absolutely destructive to social order.
Also, don't forget, well, let me just point out that still, even today, though, the most common form of dating is serial monogamy. So when you say monogamous, we may not we can't be together with somebody forever, like one person just forever, but we do tend to pair up in certain increments of time, like maybe 2 years. Like the average relationship is 17.2 months. So about 1 to 2 years we pair up and we form those pair bonds essentially to raise kids. Yeah.
Exactly. But there was actually, it's called Universe 25. It was a Harvard science experiment. And basically what they did was they created a utopia for rats to basically mimic like human society. And it showed in conclusion that even with everything that they had to survive, to live, their society still crumbled no matter how many universes that they made. And you can look it up. It's called Universe 25. Their society still crumbled. It eventually made it to where there were these mice called the pretty ones that would just groom themselves all day. They did not seek sex. They did not seek partnership. They didn't seek work, looking for food, anything. It got to the point where the females had reclused themselves up into higher up nesting boxes, and eventually their society crumbled because they lacked the social ability to be able to procreate, socialize, and overall interact with each other.
But that society though, what happened was the males became feminized, and we need the males to be men to uphold the society. So the female mice overtook the men, basically.
Okay, hold on. I'm not even going to give credence to when did the study take place?
So it was actually a recent study. It was done by Harvard. You can look it up. It's called Universe 25.
First off, I don't give a fuck about Ivy League schools. We know that the people coming out of Ivy League schools are absolutely brain dead. So, okay, you went to Harvard, you did a study at Harvard, cool. I don't give a fuck about rats. We are not rats, we are humans. So show me a study that says that there is a better way to organize humans than monogamy.
So I'm not saying to organize it better than monogamy. I'm saying that humans have all the tools that they need to be able to function, to have monogamy, to have literally everything they need, right? But humans keep finding a way to make their own problems, to create issues. Do you see kind of what I'm saying? I'm sorry, I know I'm not very good at putting it into words, but...
No, but you're citing some Harvard... And the study could have came from Santa Barbara City College for all I care. You're citing this study about rats. Rats defecate, like, granted, humans fucking defecate on the street too, I suppose.
How do we test our medicines? Like all of our medicines.
Yeah, but it doesn't go rats and then it's immediately approved for humans. They do like in vitro, in vivo studies, then they'll test them on animals, and then they'll test them on humans. And you'll have plenty of studies that are tested in rats. Oh, look, it works great in rats, but then you test it on a human and they have tons of terrible side effects. So just because there's evidence of something working or not working in rats doesn't mean that that's necessarily indicative of how that's going to manifest itself in humans.
And yes, this is true, but you can already see the patterns that are starting to form, is what I'm saying. Like the patterns of society starting to slowly diminish by people not being able to hold down relationships. A lot of people, like birth rates are slowly declining.
Yeah, but this is why we need to like defund the social sciences, because they're all like bullshit and like, okay, cool, rats did stuff. Like, how's that relevant? What discipline at Harvard conducted this study? Was it like sociology or something?
I believe it was. Am I allowed to look it up to show it to you, or?
I mean, I don't know if we'd be able to find it, but like.
It's called Universe 25.
But we really, I mean, I just don't take these are soft sciences. There's not like, there's so many glaring issues if like they lack controls and like a rat study.
It was done over the course of 50 years with multiple different universes.
50 rats, cool.
No, not 50 rats.
Oh, so 50
Thousands.
years of rats.
Yeah, basically 50 years of rats in multiple different universes that had the same conclusion.
Is this what the best institution, the supposed best institution of higher education is spending its money on? And granted, it's private. I think it's private, so there's no public funding for Harvard. But 50-year study on rats? What? Really?
Like
50 years on rats?
I want to say something. I feel like
Sorry.
I'm not discounting what you said, but I feel like maybe technology has more of an effect on monogamy.
Are you trying to kind of
advancement?
Oh, sorry. Are you trying to kind of prove how even though what you're given, say like in the rat study or whatever, like no matter what, they're going to go for what they're naturally selected to go towards?
Yes.
Yeah, what
like
was the
human
study trying to measure?
It was trying to measure how if you have everything, right? So let's say there is no world hunger. Let's say we don't need to work. Let's say we have everything handed to us. We figured everything out. We solved every problem we have, right? Eventually, basically what the study is trying to say is that we will get so bored and so out of our minds that we're going to start getting confused and not knowing what to do with ourselves.
But how does that translate to monogamy or polygamy?
So it translates to monogamy and all this, and basically what's happening with modern day dating, because in the study there was a point in time where basically the subjects had started declining in monogamy. They started becoming more polyamorous, right? And then eventually over the course of time it became no one was anything anymore. Nothing was breeding. So I'm saying we could be in that part of time in human history where we have everything we need basically handed to us, because what do? We have our whole lives planned. We go to work, we go home, we eat, we sleep, we repeat.
Okay.
Do we not?
I feel like I kind of understand what you're getting at, but at the same time, although humans, aside from rats, although humans are naturally going to go for things that they probably shouldn't go for, like Brian was saying, like shoplifting, theft, all this stuff like that, and say non-monogamy, there's also like a right and a wrong in society. So you have to be able to choose between those two, and evidently and probably statistically, I don't know the statistics on this, but monogamous relationships do succeed a lot more.
They do, but if you've noticed throughout the course of history, the percentage of monogamous relationships has been going down. So what does that tell us about ourselves as a society and where we are?
I think like Courtney was saying,
where have they been going down?
Technology has a major impact on relationships nowadays. And I understand the picture you're painting with the study, but I also think that it doesn't apply to our society nowadays, because us humans aren't necessarily at a point where everything's handed to us, so that need for polygamous relationships
Bender the offender donated
have a high correlation.
$200. You don't see rats posing for an Instagram selfie. Case closed.
I think it's technology.
I think rats aside, though,
I don't think it's rats.
Rats aside, though, I think you're kind of getting the wrong message from that, because it's the whole easy times create weak men. So the utopian universe failed because...
Thank you, Bender the offender.
Because the male mice became feminized.
And that's what I was about to say.
Utopia, there was a universe, the only one that succeeded was the one where they gave them almost nothing, and they had to basically fight for everything. So that was the universe that succeeded. So I think you're kind of getting the wrong message from that, because it's really about they had everything they needed, so the men became princesses basically.
Yeah, and it's also trying to project, like, A lot of our sexual behaviors are shaped by sexual selection pressures, which means society wasn't perfect. We developed things based off of how we went, like how things were in our evolutionary past. We selected for certain things that gave us adaptations, advantages for us to keep our species going. So when you have a study like that, it's not measuring the same things. The circumstances are not the same. The control is not the same. The situations are not the same. So it's hard to extrapolate that when it's coming from this utopian perspective, like what she said. Like essentially, even if that was the case, let's say hypothetically that human society was like that, I still don't think that would eliminate monogamy. And I don't think that would eliminate monogamy because it would be another hundreds of thousands of years before the human brain develops past its natural proclivity to form pair bonding relationships that sustain children, because human babies have the longest periods of infancy and vulnerability, and we have the longest gestation period. So it would take another hundreds of thousands of years for humans to even evolve to that point.
I found a study if you want to take a look at it. So I mean, I reject your rat study, but let's assume I accept your rat study. What are you trying to say? That polygamy is desirable?
No.
What are you suggesting?
I'm basically suggesting that everyone's like so caught up in social media, in themselves and everything, and just how do I word this? Just kind of how everyone wants things. Oh my gosh, so sorry. Everyone's so caught up in like how society is now with social media and everything that they're not focusing on actual bonds with people versus like looking into actually raising a family, looking into all these other things. Instead, they're more focused on like my picture. Oh, this guy's cute, instead of more like, am I going to be able to be with this person forever? Do we benefit each other equally? Will we be able to basically succeed in life and upbring each other, like pushing each other to grow greater? Or you see what I'm saying?
You also have to remember a lot of people everyone has their own intention. Like, not everyone has the same goal.
Word.
Well, social media is making people disposable, particularly dating apps. It's making people you just swipe and they're gone, and people ghost each other, and people are just disposable now.
Mm-hmm.